Pam had listened to Judge Amy Coney Barrett give carefully measured answers under pressure. But what Pam held in her folder didn't need spin. It spoke for itself, and today, so would she. No theatrics, no raised voice, just one cold, deliberate question. Judge Barrett, are you willing to confirm under oath that you had no prior communication with Energy Tech or its affiliates before the 2023 ruling? The room froze. Barrett didn't flinch, just sat in that tight silence that creeps in when truth gets too close. She leaned forward, not to answer, but to stall, her voice calm and rehearsed. I'm not aware of any direct... But Pam cut in sharply. You're not aware? Or you're not willing to say? That's when the tension shifted. It wasn't about politics anymore. It was about proof, and Pam had it. Emails, dates, names. Barrett knew it. She just didn't know how much. Pam was about to read it aloud. No smile, no blink. Just a silent flip of the folder. One printed page slid onto the table, and a single tap of her finger. You sure you want to keep going with that answer? She asked. Not a threat, not an accusation. Just a quiet reminder that what lay on that page was real, and whatever Amy said next would either be the truth or a lie she couldn't walk back. Amy glanced at the document, just long enough to recognize it. Her name, a timestamp from the week of the Energy Tech ruling, and a subject line she couldn't forget. She tried to speak. I don't recall seeing this document, but Pam didn't even look up. You received it April 18th at 9:42 a.m. from a private Energy Tech legal liaison. Amy's hands shifted, going for her usual move, distancing. I receive hundreds of communications in my role. Amy tried to stay vague, but she knew it wasn't working. If there was a message like that, it would have been properly disclosed, she said. Pam didn't flinch. It was buried, filed under administrative backlog, and when we subpoenaed your tech records during the ethics inquiry, it didn't show up. Amy opened her mouth, then closed it, finally saying, Then I wasn't aware of that omission. Pam replied flatly, You signed the access log yourself. We have the signature. Silence hung between them, one holding a judge's robe, the other holding proof. Pam slid a second page forward. No words, just names, dates, and file IDs. These are the messages that didn't make it into the disclosure log. All of them match Energy Tech's internal communications. Would you like to walk through them? Together? Amy didn't answer. She couldn't without setting off something bigger, something official. Pam leaned in slightly, voice dropping lower. You're not on trial, not yet. But keep dodging like this, and I won't be the one asking the next set of questions. Amy sat still, staring ahead, quiet, but it was clear now. She wasn't in control anymore. Amy was just holding on, adjusting her mic as her voice came out steady, too steady, like it was trying hard to sound neutral. I'd like to request counsel before continuing this line of questioning, she began, but Pam didn't let her finish. You're not on trial. You're not under cross. You're sitting in a seat of public trust, and the only thing you need to consult is your memory. The silence that followed wasn't dramatic. It was cold, mechanical, inescapable. Pam turned another page. This is a forwarded message from your assistant confirming a meeting on March 27th, listed only as a private consultation regarding policy impact. She paused. Do you know who else had a meeting that day? The COO of Energy Tech in the same building, Amy responded fast, too fast. I wasn't part of that meeting. Pam gave a slow, single nod. Then explain why your name appears in the building's clearance log with an 11:06 a.m. entry and a 12:42 p.m. exit. Amy blinked. Pam leaned back, letting the weight of the timeline settle. 1 hour and 36 minutes, unlisted, undocumented, and undisclosed. The exact window Energy Tech's delegation was signed in under executive clearance. Amy's expression held, but her voice cracked just slightly. I don't handle my scheduling personally. Pam cut in again, flat and unshaken. You didn't have to. The log speaks for itself. Pam stated the meeting was cleared under the Judicial Outreach Initiative, a program Amy herself had created. Amy opened her mouth to respond, but Pam raised a hand. Before you tell me that's a coincidence, let me show you what's not. She slid the next document forward. 1 week after that meeting, a ruling came down in favor of energy tech, reversing a district court decision and granting a corporate exemption they'd been fighting for since 2021. Amy tried to speak, but this time Pam kept going. You authored that opinion. You sealed the exemption language. And now you're telling us you don't remember the meeting that happened right before it? She paused, eyes fixed straight ahead. This isn't about memory anymore, it's about math. Amy stayed quiet because there was no good answer left. When she did speak, her voice had dropped. Not from fear, but from calculation. I'd like to clarify that my role in that ruling followed full judicial process and protocol. Any suggestion otherwise is misleading. Pam tilted her head slightly. Misleading, one word. But the word landed like a verdict. Pam reached for a slim black booklet, marked with a sticky tab halfway through, and opened it. 8 months ago, during your closed-door deposition with the Judiciary Oversight Committee, you said, and I quote, "To the best of my knowledge, I've had no external conversations related to energy tech or its holdings." She flipped the page. But the name Energy Tech appears in 3 internal memos from your office dated before that statement. One was written by your senior advisor, subject line, "Talking points for Barrett Energy Tech alignment." Amy didn't flinch, but her fingers curled slightly around the edge of her notes. "That document wasn't approved by me," she said. Pam nodded slowly. "You're right, it wasn't, but it was printed on your office letterhead and attached to a calendar invite under your initials." Amy inhaled, and Pam saw it, that subtle shift when confidence doesn't crack but starts to rot from within. Leaning forward, voice flat, Pam added, "You can argue technicalities, you can blame your staff, but you can't argue timing. You can't argue language, and you can't argue the fact that the only reason any of this is coming to light is because you never expected anyone to read past the front page." Amy said nothing. Pam let the silence stretch. You told the American public your decisions were based on law, not leverage. You said transparency was sacred. So tell me, Judge, how do a private corporate memo, a sealed judicial draft, and a financial gain in a protected trust all appear within the same 2-week window without coordination? No answer. Pam didn't blink. This isn't a theory, it's a sequence. And Amy still said nothing, because every rehearsed line had just collapsed under the weight of something she hadn't expected. Receipts. Finally, Amy leaned into the mic, her voice low and deliberate. "I categorically deny any intentional misconduct. I've upheld the integrity of this office to the best of my ability and in full accordance with my responsibilities as a justice." Pam didn't even look up. "Then let's talk about the trust." She slid the final document across the desk, 1 page, 1 number, $25,000, deposited into a trust fund tied to a non-public LLC registered in Amy's husband's name 2 days after the ruling. Amy's face didn't change, but her pulse was showing now. Her silence no longer looked composed, it looked cornered. Pam continued. "No one said you took a bribe. No one used the word corruption. But do you want to explain, under oath, why a financial transfer tied to a sealed trust appeared in your family's records within 48 hours of your ruling in favor of energy tech?" Still no answer. "You want to talk about integrity? Then let's talk about what integrity doesn't do. It doesn't forget private meetings. It doesn't skip disclosure reports. It doesn't hide behind staff, and it doesn't need legal coaching every time someone opens a file." Pam stood slowly, folding the folder shut in her hands. "This isn't political. It's not personal. It's simple." She looked Amy straight in the eyes. "You wear the robe, you hold the seat, but if the public can't trust that what you say in daylight matches what you sign in shadow, then maybe you don't belong behind that bench." Silence. No objection, no defense. Pam didn't gloat, didn't smile. She just turned and walked out, because when the truth enters the room, you don't need to stay to hear the denial. It speaks for itself. Subscribe, comment where you're watching from, and remember, power doesn't protect you from accountability, not when someone shows up with the proof.